Having a big picture of what the market is doing in the higher time frame is what gives you an edge to know what the either if the market is in actually in a bullish condition or a bearish condition. Now we're going to be doing an analysis from the higher time frame. This tells us the big picture, so whereby we can be able to go down to the lower time frame and know if it's a buy or if it's a sell. Because oftentimes when you're in the market and you find out that 30 minutes is actually bullish, but when you get to 1 hour you find out that it's bearish. Now it is not the cause of the market. It's the problem is you not being able to understand what the higher time frame is doing. Now, because the ability to understand what the higher time frame is doing is what gives you an edge. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be using the weekly time frame to draw analysis and see how far. Now, if we draw this trend line here, I like using trend line because it tells me what the market is doing. So, okay, like I said, the trend line must be touching two market major swing points. Let's see. Okay, I'm seeing something here. Sorry. Okay, this market as at this zone here is bearish. It's actually bearish, but now in between this trend line you get to find out there's something. There's still another trend line here. Let me show you. There's still actually another trend line here. Now when you get to the lower time frame, what you're going to be seeing is that this market here is actually having some confluence. Sorry. So the first trend line was broken. The first trend line was broken. Then the market retraced back to the second trend line. See, now these are major swing points here, which tells us that this market is actually on a bearish move. It's actually on a bearish move. So what we want to do is actually look for a way to sell to the downside, because why? The trend line has been respected by the market. But there's something interesting here I want to show us in this video, so we can actually do a back test on it and see how far it is. Now, like we know that the market, the initial trend of this market is bearish. Guys, let me tell you a secret. Whenever the market flow is bearish, you want to stay bearish. But if the market flow is bullish, you want to look for an opportunity to buy in the higher time frame. Now, this has the way of giving you a 97% win rate in the market, because if you're trending against the trend, you wouldn't be able to know how far that trend is going to be moving. Let's say, for example, the market is on the retracement move and you're going down to the lower time frame to look opportunity to buy. But for swing traders, you might be thinking, whoa, this market is going to continue like this. You get stopped at over time because why? You're trading against the trend. So what we're going to be doing here is, let's see how far this thing has come. Something I want to show us here. I actually made a video with my mentor sometime. We're talking about this chart. Something happened here that I want to share with us. Okay. Okay, I like actually respecting mostly this so as you can see here, this market was touching this swing point. It respected it up to 4 times before it actually came back to the down. But there's something I want to show you here which is very interesting. Actually, before a trend reverses, there's actually a how would I call it, if it's a mini trend line when it was broken before the move down. Okay, 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 now if we go down to the lower time frame, we'll find out that this market here, there was a trend line break here. There was a trend line break here. See, that was why the market actually pulled back. I don't know if you understand what I'm saying, but there is something here. Now let me point this out. See, the market actually respected this zone. Let me point it out so it will be clearer. It actually respected this zone here. See, it respected this zone. See, this is an entry trigger that led to the break. Now the first thing we'll see here is actually a break of structure here. See, there's a break of structure here. So whenever you're doing your analysis from the higher time frame, you have the higher chances of seeing what the market is doing. And there was a break of structure here and actually a pullback. The market actually pulled back to this zone, to this first zone here. Let me just take this out. See, it pulled back down to the third zone here. Now there's something we need to put in check. This last order block was not broken, which indicates that the market came down to respect it, giving us a head and a shoulder pattern here, which shows that the market came down to respect it. Sorry. It actually came back to respect it. So this means that this market is about to move higher. Now let me show you what happened. Let me take this out. There is two things that we need to put in mind. Since the structure has been broken, whenever we see a structural break of structure, a break of structure, it actually means that the market is about to move in an opposite direction. And in this case, there was a break of structure here. There was a break of structure there. Sorry. So now there are two things that we need to put in mind. One, the last institutional order block that led to the move up, and now the last institutional order block that led to the retracement move. These two zones will tell us what the market is actually doing. Now, why did I decide to point these two zones? I'll tell you why. Now, one of it you will find out is that, don't forget, this our most initial trend line has not been broken. The major one has not been broken, but this other one has been broken, which tells us that this one has been broken. The market is likely going to what, move and retrace back up. Now let's see what happened here. The market came to this zone, this other block here, and pulled back. Now don't forget, this high have not been taken, but there is something very important that we need to put in mind here. Let me roll a line, a trend line here. There's something I'm seeing here. Sorry. Come on, what's happening? Okay. This was last institutional order block that rose price to the downside. So we want to check if it actually respected it. There was equally a trend line break here. Yeah. Okay. There's a trend line break here. Don't forget, there's a trend line break here. Let me take this out. So what we're seeing here, don't forget this high has not been taken, but something happened here. There was a strong resistance zone here, a very strong resistance zone. Yeah, at this zone, the market created a confluence in this zone here. So there was actually a break, a retracement here, and a break. Now let's see something, which is the major reason I'm doing this video. I want to point out something to us. Okay. take this out. Okay, now I see something like a retracement on the trend line move here. After the market actually reaches that zone, there in that resistance zone, I can see a respect on this trend line that indicates that, hey guys, we're about to go up. Now this is the market giving us an update, telling us we're about to go up. See this zone here. If we go down to the lower time frame, now there's something I forgot to point out. If you see market come to an area of value here, this is the mini retracement move in this zone. Whenever we see something like this, we should know that, hey, we're about to what, move higher. Let's go down to the 1 hour daily time frame, sorry, and see what the market is doing in that zone. Okay, let's see if we can see our market structure change. Come on now. Okay, I'm actually seeing something here. Since this thing is still booting. So what I was saying, guys, what can we see here? See, this was an entry trigger for us to enter the market in the daily time frame. Now, whenever you're able to identify what the higher time frame is saying, it's very simple. You will know when to get in and when to get out. Let's draw this trend line here. Let me take this out. Since we've seen what the market is doing, so let me take this out and see how we can draw this trend line. Yeah. Okay. So is it clear now? This is an entry here. This is an entry here for us to ride price to the upside. This looks like a triangle, like, yeah. This is an entry for us to ride price to the upside. Now this trend line continued like that. Yeah, the market actually came back to the zone here. It came back to the zone here. Let me draw this thing very well. Yeah, see, price actually pulled back to the zone here. Price actually pulled back to the zone here. So there was actually another trend line break here. There's another trend line break here. Guys, while drawing this trend line, you want to make sure the market is actually touching at least two major swing points. Two major swing points. You can actually draw it like this or like this. Yeah, I like doing it like this. So this was another move that took price to the upside. Now whatever this is, you need to be sure of something. See, there's something I need to point out here. There was actually a structural break here, a pullback, and an entry for us here. Another entry for us here. Another entry for us here to take price to the upside. Now why am I able to do this? Because I know what the weekly time frame is saying. The weekly time frame, I know what it's saying. Because why? I knew all of this was just a retracement move. I knew all of this was just a retracement move. all what the market is doing is just trying to retrace, grab liquidity, and go back to the downside. See, they took out money from this zone. This was the goal. The goal was to take out the money from all of this zone here. Sorry, I'm trying to move this stuff. Maybe something else. They're trying to move the money from this zone here. The whole initial, the whole goal of this move was just to take out the money that was resting here. To take out the money that was resting in these zones. That was why smart money moved in that way. So they came back and closed their position here, because if you look clearly, vividly, very well, you will see something here. You see something here. I've talked about this video before, using smart money concept, where smart money actually come to mitigate their positions and go back to the initial trend move. See, this was just to mitigate their position. Let me close this. So this was just to mitigate the position that was here. Now, in case you've not watched the video where I talked about smart money concept, what they do actually is that they come to the last institutional order block, last institutional candle that took out price to the upside. They will retrace back and close their positions. Let me make it smaller. Close their positions and rise price to the downside. So that's what smart money always do. Now, this in this the reason I'm doing this video is called a clarity on top-down analysis. We understand what the time frame is saying in the higher time frame, like the weekly. So what we're going to be doing is we move down to the daily. We wait for price first of all. We got to understand, do our analysis from the higher time frame. Now, let me say this. While I was a beginner, there was something I was actually doing. I was actually going to the lower time frame to do my analysis, and it really affected me a lot. Yeah, I was looking for price and structural change. I knew all of it. I knew all the strategies, like when to get involved, waiting for market to come to an area of value before selling or before buying. Yeah, I knew all of that. But I was going to do that in the lower time frame. That was what was killing me. Now, what's killing most traders when they say traders are not being patient is because they cannot wait for this weekly time frame to come to an area of value, or they cannot wait for it to be get to the area where they say they want to sell or buy, and it begins to affect them. It begins to affect them. Now, I'll say this again. You're being in the market, you have to be able to understand what the market is doing. It's that thing you understand that the market is doing that can give you an edge. Okay, it's simple. Trading forex, it's simple when you do your analysis from the higher time frame. Now let's walk down to the 4 hours. 4 hours. You see that the market structure is actually aligned. The weekly, the 4 hours, they actually what aligned. So all what you want to do is understand what the higher time frame is doing, move down to the lower time frame. I love this market. This move actually gave me some dollars I was looking for. Okay, I don't know why it's not opening. So once you understand what the 4 hours is doing, you're set. See, market actually came to the zone, like we all like they said. But once you get to the 4 hours, I want to bet you on something. You're going to be seeing a structural change. Yeah, this right here is a head and shoulder also, which indicate that the market is about to move. In case you miss this zone, you might get the pullback. But there are two things, let me say this, there are two things you actually look for whenever a market wants to reverse. Number one, you look for the market structure change. Market structure change. One, if you've seen that, the next move you want to look for is the last institutional order block that broke the market, that took market to the downside. Market will always respect it. My boss used to say something The market respect every other block, either legitimate or illegitimate. See, this was just a pullback to take us to the upside. And when the market finally got up, it pulled back to that major zone again. This was the major zone that we identified in the daily time frame. This was it. See, another head and shoulder for us to ride price to the upside. So this is just for the video. As you keep going down 30 minutes, it's getting clearer but with much candle. Now let me quickly say this. Top down analysis means once the weekly time frame opens, it takes 1 week for each of these candles to be formed. It for the daily time frame means it takes 1 day for each of these candles to be formed, and for the month 4 hours, it takes 4 hours for each of these candles to form. Going to the 4 hours is cool, but I will rather say understand what the weekly is saying.